Hey guys, welcome to Daily Movie Recaps. Today we are watching a romantic comedy movie titled That's My Boy. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Alright then, in 1984, 13-year-old Donnie Burgers were infatuated with his math teacher, Miss McGarrigle. He asks her out on a date, and she responds by giving him a month's worth of detention. During detention, we find out that Miss McGiggle has a crush on Donnie too, and so, the two proceed to hook up. One day Mary and Donnie are caught. In court, Mary is sentenced to 30 years. In addition, the court grants custody of the unborn child to Donnie's father until Donnie turns 8. Mary was sent off to jail while Donnie became a teen sensation nationwide, appearing on talk shows, movies, and even a sitcom. Presently, Donnie Burgers is 26 years old and have blown all the money. A lawyer informs him that he might get 3 years in prison for tax evasion. Donnie hasn't paid taxes since 1994, totaling up to $43,000. The lawyer asks if he can borrow money from his kid, but Donnie explains that they haven't spoken in years. He named his child Han Solo. The scene shifts to an apartment. Han Solo seems to be doing pretty well for himself. Despite his apparent success, Han takes a lot of anti-anxiety medication and even keeps a pair of extra underwear in his pocket, just in case. We come back to Donnie. He stresses about the incoming legal case. He sees his son's wedding announcement in the newspaper. Han Solo has changed his name to Todd Peterson, is now a big-shot hedge fund manager. Todd takes his in-laws and future wife to his boss, Mr. Spiro, to a summer home, who's allowing them to stay there for the weekend. They're all in the dining room when Jamie's brother Chad arrives. In contrast, Todd's living it up. Donnie heads down to the office of Randy Morgan, a talk show host. I used to interview him frequently. The receptionist coolly informs them that Randy's on vacation. Vanilla Ice walks inside. Donnie and Vanilla used to be best friends until Donnie accidentally slept with his mother. Donnie asks for some money, but Vanilla doesn't have any. So Donnie jokes that he'll ask Ice's mother for the money, and Ice lunges. The two crashed into a table, and then Randy Morgan invited Donnie into his dressing room. Randy gets the idea of doing a reunion piece with the teacher he got pregnant. He offers a deal that both Donnie and his son have to go up to the women's prison this weekend for Randy to feature it on his show. If he manages that, then Randy, I'll give him $50,000 to pay off that IRS fine. Now Donnie finds Todd's location and ends up at the summer house, where Todd introduces Donnie as an old friend, not as a father. But unfortunately, the family is charmed and allows him to stay for the weekend. He feeds them a ridiculous story about saving Todd from a train accident, and they eat that up. Now, alone, Donnie lies that Ms. McGarrigle is sick and wants to see them both at the prison this weekend. Todd refuses because he doesn't want to. Later, Jamie announces that guests are arriving. While Donnie dresses, Todd and Jamie chat with Mr. Spiro. Donnie hears the conversation and decides to join. Somehow Spiro and Donnie hit it off with their shared love of outdated slang. Donnie quickly becomes the center of the party, telling the fake story of how he saved Todd from the train. Finally, someone recognizes Donnie as the kid who got his teacher pregnant. Everyone in the older crowd remembers him. Todd's best man, Phil, gives the position over to Donnie. Afterwards, Donnie's enjoying himself in the hot tub. However, when his friends ring him up, ask if Todd has agreed to meet with his mother on set. When he hangs up, he overhears Jamie yelling at Todd, and he follows the sound of Todd showering in the bathroom while wearing swimming trunks. Well, Donnie thinks that's hilarious, and they get into a tickle fight and are interrupted by a slightly tipsy Chad, stripping off his clothes and lunging for Todd. He doesn't stop choking him even after he's tapping out, so Donnie hits him over the head with a bottle. Later, Jamie tries on her wedding dress in front of him, and as she stares at herself in the mirror, she confesses that she doesn't like Donnie very much. We find out that Donnie has written an epigraph dedicated to Han Solo. The following day, the family heads out to see the wedding venue and meet with the priest. The priest does get into a bit of argument with Todd, but instead of meekly backing away like usual, Todd argues back. Thus the priest requests him out and punches Todd directly in the face. Donnie wields his beer bottle, hitting the priest, knocking them out. So the families were kicked out of the church, leaving Jamie and Todd without a wedding venue. Everyone blames Todd. Donnie uses his gift for storytelling to make up a sub-story explaining that memories of his father's open casket funeral have made Todd wary of churches. The family all ended up believing it and sympathizing with Todd instead of turning against him. Donnie suggests that they hold a venue in the backyard of the summer house right next to the beach. So it was just a few days until the wedding. Time for the bachelor party. Donnie, of course, wants to plan it, but Phil already has it covered and takes them all to a spa. Donnie eventually convinces the group, and they all head to his favorite strip club. Champale greets him at the door, and they all have a great time. While she's performing, her daughter, Bree, chats with Todd. Now, Bree knows that he's Han Solo but promises to keep Todd's secret safe. After the party, the rest of the guys are sent home while Donnie and Todd have some alone time to talk. Donnie gives Todd an earring, and Todd lets Donnie pierce his ear. Afterwards, the two head out to meet Vanilla Ice, and Donnie apologizes for his mother. Vanilla ends up passed out, leaving Donnie and Todd alone on the porch of the summer house, where they hug for the first time. Todd agrees to go to prison, but Donnie convinces Todd that it's been canceled. Todd stumbles the wedding dress on display. We find out that he's puked all over it the following day. So Jamie's furious. She tells Todd that she's going to Pilates to the dry cleaners. Donnie's cooking up pancakes for the family. Now Todd calls and tells Donnie that he's decided to see his mom after all. So Donnie rushes over to stop him before Randy Morgan and his crew show up. But he gets so caught up in the conversation with Mary that he doesn't even remember Randy until a microphone dangles above him. Todd realizes that Randy's show is the only reason Donnie came back into his life. They fight as those cameras are rolling, and Todd gets tased by a guard, so he runs away. He also refuses to sign a release form, so Donnie can't get any of the money that Randy promised. With Todd gone, Donnie heads to the summer house to pack up his stuff and leave. However, he hears Jamie giggling over the phone with somebody named Steve. Realizing that Jamie may be cheating on her fiancé with Steve Spiro, Donnie decides that he can't leave after. So that night, before the wedding, Spiro declares to Todd that he's chosen him to be a partner in their firm. First, however, Donnie reveals what he heard on the phone, and Jamie explains that she was talking to Steve Goldstein, a wedding reporter for a newspaper. Danny gets access to the room Jamie is staying in to apologize to her. But at her door, he hears noises and gets suspicious. He climbs through the window and finds Jamie in bed with her brother Chad. He takes a photo of the two of them as evidence, but Jamie offers to pay Donnie to keep this a secret. The day of the wedding, and we find out that Donnie has taken $50,000 in exchange for keeping his mouth shut. Despite being saved from prison, he still feels guilty, so Danny raced to the wedding. Meanwhile, the priest from earlier appears asking Todd to forgive him, and Todd accepts the apology. As Jamie's walking down the aisle, Donnie rushes in and objects, explaining that Tom doesn't genuinely love Jamie and, in doing so, reveals that Todd is his biological son. Everyone gasps, and Todd admits that it's true, and Jamie admits that she's been sleeping with her brother. Jamie begs Todd to continue the wedding, but Todd refuses. Instead, he tells everyone about his giant tattoo and even quits his job. While he talks, Jamie grabs a knife from the cake table and attacks Donnie. But he, as always, has a beer bottle in his hand and knocks her down with it. Then Chad tries to tackle Donnie, but Todd comes to the rescue and knocks him out with a beer bottle too. And now, with this whole wedding business out of the way, Donnie and Todd head to the strip club to celebrate. The end. Thank you for watching the video. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel.